I've been drinking Lipton out the faucet. I'm in love with Houston, Dallas, Austin. What's up, my dudes? Okay, so just take you a little gander at this right here. For all of you that think I've just lost my skills on MX Simulator, just take you a little gander. Oh, boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I promise you, anytime I want, I can pull out that 2016, 2017 Spency boy on MXM anytime I want to, bro. Okay, every once in a while you got to prove to them you still got it, you know what I mean? But this track right here definitely gave me some old school, like 2015 RF track kind of vibes to it, which was interesting, kind of cool. Been a while since I've felt that on a track, but it definitely took me back a little bit. So it's interesting how we're seeing RF start to do some of these different things that I've been talking about, like taking away invisible walls. That seems to be totally gone at this point because you can hit this. It's actually a 5 jump into the corner. Of course, it's extremely difficult. I don't know anybody that would be in their right mind that would actually attempt to hit that in a main event. So it kind of balances itself out. You don't even need an invisible wall. Like, yeah, dudes are going to try to hit it in qualifying, but in the main event, trust me, there may be one guy that may try to attempt to do it, but for the most part, it's hard enough to land that they're not going to even try to do it anyways. So that's kind of what it comes down to right there. But also, I wanted to go over, let me replay back a different one here. Spency boy just had to play that gameplay. For sure, bro. So another thing they've done that I've been talking about is they've started to bring back a little bit of this higher resolution dirt decals back. Especially if you have your graphics set on higher. I've got them a little bit lower right here just so that it doesn't have so much of that grainy ass look on YouTube. But if you go in here and crank the graphics up to maximum, this track's going to look a lot better than a lot of that basic Play-Doh looking built around Erode crap that you've been seeing for the past like 2 or 3 years. It seems like they're starting to come around with a couple of these things I've been talking about, like some skill gap jump rhythms. Even this right here, like this is pretty tricky to hit that specific rhythm. You got to have a lot of forward and backwards leaning skill in this game. Spency boy in the whoops, bro. Oh my God. Just keep her held down, boys. Just keep her held down, boys. That's an interesting whoop section because it's like they're built just small enough to where it kind of tempts you to hit them, fifth gear wide open on a 450, but at the same time, you can flip over doing that. I still felt like the whoops could have been just a smidge bigger. You know what I'm saying? Felt like the finish line could have been a smidge longer. And if you watch the real life Houston race in this particular rhythm section right here, there was actually a quad right here that they were hitting in the real life race, but that's another problem with RF when they make their replica tracks a week before the real life track. That was probably not exactly on the track map like it actually ended up being in the real life Houston race, you see what I'm saying? And that was a massive separator rhythm in the 450 class, being able to hit that quad line. But it's just non-existent here on the MX Simulator Houston track, which is sad and unfortunate. But at some point, RF will learn that lesson that you're just going to have to start making these tracks after the real life race actually happens. That way you can be a little bit more accurate with the rhythms that they change and the different sections that they change. And if it's like a mudder race, or if it turns out to be more of a ruddier track, or, more of a dry hard pack track. See, they can't make any of those kind of changes to anything whenever they make the track before the real life race actually happens. That's a major issue. Like, I can't believe that's not more talked about, because that's the whole point of all this shit. It's like you're paying to race in a replica series. You're not paying to race on somebody to go in there and build the tracks off of a track map. You know what I mean? That's not really what you're paying for. So, you see what I'm saying? It's like people are paying to go in there and race, and it can even be more extreme than this right here as far as like the rhythms being different than they really were in real life. It can be way more dramatic than what you're seeing on this track. Sometimes they change entire rhythm sections, and they change the layout of the track. Like, there's certain occasions where RF, making the track a week before the real life track actually hurts them really bad. I felt like their Anaheim 1, it was nothing like the real life track, because the real life Anaheim 1 this year turned out to be a lot more of an East Coast style vibe. There were ruts and roughness everywhere, even on the very first lap, but RF couldn't have any of that on their track. So it's like, that's just, at the end of the day, it's just being lazy. It wouldn't be that hard for RF to go in there and not start working on their tracks until like the day after the real life pro race happened. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to complain that you're doing the MX simulator race a week after the real life race versus doing it a week before the real life. Like, RF has got this weird shit in their head where they think like, well, we just have to do it this way. That's what they try to say to everybody and say in their, comments and replies and stuff. We only have, this many days to build the track off of the track. No, you don't. You have as many days as you want, because you can do it after the real life race. That's the whole entire point. And it just frustrates me. Like, is RF ever going to learn that? I don't know. I really don't know, guys. But at the end of the day, this track was, it was okay. I'm not going to say it's the best stuff they've done, but it was definitely, something about it just felt better to me. They finally did a different color to the actual dirt decal. Spency Boy getting squirrely. They finally did a slightly different dirt color that, made this track at least look a little bit different visually than their last, 5 rounds. Sometimes they get caught up in doing the exact same dirt color on, Anaheim 1, Oakland, San Diego. All those tracks a lot of times seem to have literally the exact same dirt color. So finally they have changed that a little bit here, and it just, I don't know, something about this entire track just made me feel like, okay, this is kind of this has got some 2015 old school RF kind of vibes to it. Obviously minus any sort of pre-made ruts or character or roughness or anything like that. But something about this track, though, felt like it had just a little bit more, substance to it. It wasn't so basic. Something about it just gave me that feeling. So, I'm kind of to that point where I feel like maybe by the time we get to 2025, RF Supercross season, maybe they'll be back to the point where I'll actually want to go in there and start pro racing again. Trust me, I still have the skills to do so, okay? I've just been in hibernation mode to try to see what the hell they're going to do with this Erode beta testing thing. And when they finally get themselves sort of set on something and they don't just continue to change everything dramatically every year, then that's when I'll come back and start racing again. When they can start getting this close to they were making the tractions and the skill gap and the jump rhythms and the, character and the pre-made. Once they start bringing all that back, like what they had back in the 2017 days, then I'll come back. That's what I've been waiting on. As soon as they do that, I'll come back. But I really feel like it's still going to take them going to 2024. And making changes all the way through that year and then getting all the way to 2025. Just maybe by that point they'll start to actually sort of have something there again. I don't really know. It's just been ever since 2019, it's been like a complete rebuilding process for RF, which is really bizarre, everything that they've went through, but yeah, it's been like a total rebuild process from the ground up. By the way, RF, let me ask this question here. Why are you continuing to put the guys that literally got caught scamming the game key sharing in your pro racing organization? Why are you putting their names up in the top of the stands? Why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. When you've literally had to permaban the person for, scamming your pro racing organization and making you look like an entire joke, you probably wouldn't want to sit here and continue to put their names up in the top of the stands, okay? That's just common sense. That is just common sense, but I swear RF seems to lack a bunch of that for some reason. I don't understand it, but if you're going to get to the point where you permaban certain riders for doing something so bad, then I would think you would be smart enough not to continue to post and put their names up in the top of the stands of your tracks like they won these previous champions. Bro, it's void. It doesn't matter anymore. When they've been caught scamming the game, it eliminates all of their championships and all their wins and everything they've ever done because you can't trust them anymore. You see what I'm saying? They've made your entire pro racing organization seem like an entire scam, seem like it's totally invalid. Just saying. Just saying. So anyways, at the end of the day, I mean, I think they're getting closer here, but, it's just like, man, it's just all these things I've been trying to tell RF for 3 or 4 years now. The whoops aren't big enough. There's not enough skill-gapped rhythms. What the fuck are you doing with the invisible walls? Why are you making the dirt decals so basic and Play-Doh and boring? Finally, they're starting to listen to some of these things. Finally. Spency Boy been trying to tell them forever. But at the end of the day, this is... a lot more fun to ride on than a lot of the other stuff they've been making for the last 3 years, in my opinion. So we'll see if they can try to get it all together and actually stay consistent with their progression with what they're doing instead of like what they did with the round before this, which was a total amateur track. We'll see what they can do, guys. I don't know. All I can do is try to guide them in the right direction the best that I possibly can. That's all I can do, man. That's all I can do.